This podcast is rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Some material may not be suitable for children.
Mission 250.
Irwin's, so this is TC, you're going to knock this guy some more, this director. Kershner described directing as guessing at everything. Do we get that take? You guess. I don't know. Will that fit together over here? I don't know. Like, did he hit his lines right? I don't know. We're fucking moving on, everyone. You guessed at this, you guessed at that, you rolled through, and then bam, you made one of the highest grossing movies of all time.
Lucky. Can't argue with him. He's not wrong.
TC, you should
lucky son of a bitch.
Listen to the commentary track if you have a chance, because Naomi listened to a lot of it with me, and we were just like, this guy sounds like an idiot. Like, he really sounds like an idiot, but it might be perfect for what they were going for, because, like, every scene he described, he's like, look at Han, he's upset. Look at Leia,
I can't
she's attracted to Han.
You
look at
enough.
C-3PO, he comes in and disrupts their kiss. Ha ha ha, this movie's fucking awesome.
I'm telling you, I can't impress upon you enough that the people that run Hollywood are the most, they're just like,
you can't say that.
Just like
this
that.
movie's fucking genius on so many levels.
No, but they're like the people that you meet some of these people that run this place and you think to yourself, come again?
Oh, yeah. It is confusing.
It's a very eccentric group that runs way too much with way too much funding.
Mm-hmm.
And there's moments like those where I'm with you, man. You just think to yourself, that's not funny. And there's people laughing at it. They're sitting there, that's great. They're like, no, he's just loaded. He runs everything. He's in charge of all the things everybody wants.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, that's funny. And they don't edit them out.
Please give me some of your money.
Anything.
Please give me some.
It's unbelievable, Denny. It's not even disheartening. It's almost intriguing. It's like you come out here and you start to learn this stuff and you go, wow. No wonder why some people are like, entertainment? You can have it.
Well,
It
doesn't sound like the cast and crew seem to like him. They don't.
And that's the thing.
He was great. Even
there,
Harrison
right?
Ford. Harrison Ford talks shit on lots of people. He liked this
There's
guy.
going to be a bunch of people that like that guy. A ton of people. I'm talking about people that rule their whole lives because that person exists. They exist. Then there's going to be a bunch of other people out there that are just looking at them for what they really are, which are out of their gourd. And for some reason, got lucky enough where they hit all the right fucking marks and they just have money. There's nothing you can do, right? Like, it's like, I love that this is good. This is such good intel because it just,
Oh, TC, I got a whole section of sound trivia for you, dude. It's a whole section.
About Hollywood that is just great to know because it's not like you either want to be in this shit or you don't because this is what you're dealing with. It's people just like Denny's talking about. I think that's fascinating. Fucking awesome.
It is.
Anyways, next. Sorry for
so there that stop motion of the Tauntaun walking into the rebel base there on Hoth.
Right.
You know, there's like a CG or not a CG, stop motion Tauntaun. The way they did that scene was. The initial shot had a guy with a cutout of a Tauntaun running through the set so that people in that base wouldn't get in the line of like the animation. You know, because like if you didn't have a guy in the set to show where the Tauntaun was going to be, you might have someone walking through him when they were trying to animate it over later.
And you wouldn't know it.
Yeah,
and you
so they just
no
had this
idea.
dude with this giant cardboard cutout of a Tauntaun sprinting through that airplane hangar set, and that was the original shot.
Smart. It just gives them their plate, like something to deal with, right? Like, you know, that makes sense to me. I love it.
A lot of this trivia is just like this. It kind of seems like shoestring stuff, like all of the shaky ship stuff. Someone yelling left, and then the camera going to the right, and the actors going to the left, and like that was all of the shaky shit in the.
That's
that
still
was
all it is now.
Yeah, but it looks really good in this movie. It looks
right, but
compared to old Star
part.
Trek. Old Star Trek looks like shit. It looks like a joke. In this movie, it looks convincing. It looks like they're really getting hit by something with like the combination of sound. And
I'm telling you, I think it's something else to think that that's how this type of movie, as serious as it and as like complicated as it is when we watch it. I mean, I was lost within this little universe, right? Like that's something else.
It's crazy
to think that like that one of their little techniques is just have some guy running through and make sure that nobody walks in this area. I mean, like it's unbelievably simplistic and yet absolutely terrifying that's all it takes to make this.
So the C-3PO on the back of Chewbacca when he was all broken up and stuff, they had all these. They were planning on doing like animatronics and robots and stuff, but they couldn't get them to work. So they're just like, fuck it, Chewie. We're getting his arm. We're making a little pulley. You have like Chewie's arms are to his side that entire time. The guy in Chewie's like Peter Mayhew has 2 little fishing rods, and he moves it back and forth to tilt the arm like where it's going, and then they have a guy with a fishing rod with a line attached to the top of his head, just like to move it around.
Move his head.
And they're like chasing him down the shot with just fucking fishing lines, and that's it.
And that's it.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, it's something else. It's ridiculous. That's fucking cool.
Oh, I put this. So I have a lot of sound stuff at Concentrated later, but I'll give you a little taste here because some of this is
But our favorite guy returns, right?
Oh yeah, Ben Burtt, guy's a fucking genius. The sound of C-3PO walking was an old car door he found at a dump. He ripped it off, and the mechanical motor, he plugged it in. It was still functional, but he had to plug it in externally, and that sound of that motor going up and down is C-3PO moving around.
Huh.
And the Tauntaun's voice
That's smart, dude.
is an Asian sea otter.
Yeah.
Tauntaun's
of course it is.
Asian
How would
sea otter.
Well, what else would it be?
How do you ever come up? This guy, I don't know. The most
Holy
impressive part of
shit.
this movie is
Who
that
knew
guy.
there were? First of all, I didn't know there were Asian sea otters.
Neither did I.
So let's just.
He's like
let's
they
start
talked about.
there.
They're like
okay?
kind of they're different
Who
sized
knew?
and they talk a lot more than regular otters.
Oh, do they?
Right.
And
They
where'd
do.
you learn that? I don't know. I read a book. Oh,
Yeah.
what the fuck? And you're a sound guy? Yeah.
And then you what?
Okay,
You
dude.
flew somewhere and you recorded them? Yes.
Yes.
Fuck, dude.
Yes, I did.
Jesus.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
What?
And so
The
he has
fuck?
things like that, but then he also talks
That's
about
so
how
cool.
the sounds of Luke falling in the snow was just him recording his dad during a vacation trip he had to upstate New York when there was a
No
snowstorm at his family's
shit.
house, and he went out there with a handheld microphone and recording his dad
That's
falling in the snow.
awesome.
Yeah, shit like
That's
that in
so
this movie.
Cool. Yeah, right. Well, that's where it comes from, though. It just
Oh, yeah.
works.
It just
It's
works.
awesome.
But he has like even back then handheld microphones.
Can
were
you
good enough to
imagine how
record Star
annoying
Wars
he is though?
sounds.
If like his girlfriend, right? They must sit there and he's like, do you hear that?
You should
She's
listen
like,
to
what?
him.
He's like, do you hear that? She's like,
That's a
"What do you
laser
mean?"
beam.
She's like,
Yes.
That is a fucking laser beam.
That
right?
sound's
She's
gonna
like,
pay for our
honey,
new bathroom, honey.
It's,
Yes.
it's just raining outside.
No, no.
Exactly. I'm getting
I
the
love
gear.
you, Ben.
No,
Make love
honey,
to me
don't.
now.
Don't, honey. Please don't get the gear. You said you wouldn't do it on this trip. I'm getting the gear, honey. That's a laser. It's just the rain. I swear it's just the rain. Oh man, I can't even imagine that argument.
No,
I mean,
it's-
I can,
yeah, it's-
but like I can't even imagine having to deal with it. That must be him all day. I don't care. If I ever meet him and he says "go fuck yourself," I'll be like, "Hey, but it's funny." The
Yeah.
idea that you're just always in audio, like you
he
have
always
to
is,
be.
dude. Listening to him,
Yeah.
100%, no question. He's
How
always
could
on.
you not be always audio if this guy, the stuff that you've been telling us over this
There's a
episode
lot of
and
new
last one,
good stuff that he added to this movie.
I'm
which
an
is-
audio guy, grew up
yeah.
a sound guy, always a sound guy. I would never think about these fucking things.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. It's
So-
great trivia.
To describe how hard the Hoth plane scenes are, I assume they were hard, but I had no idea. But they talked about how the insides of the ship. First, they had to get a plane to go and fly those shots where they go up and down through the mountains. But then they'd have to take that and they'd have to program a camera inside the spaceship and kind of sync up that programming with how the ship would move, because like it's hard to see because it looks real, but like the ship is moving when they're flying through those areas, and they have to sync up the shot they got previously with the movement of the camera, because the ship isn't moving, the camera's moving. They do kind of the opposite movements, but the actors are moving with that. They're kind of like acting to the movement.
Oh wow.
And then they have to go through and project the original footage onto the ships, and then they have to remove all of the lines. So like white on white is extremely hard to edit, because the way they used to project those things, there's like blue lines that show the difference between the two things. So frame by frame, they had to go through and remove the blue parts of those things overlaying with each other. So like
Damn.
each one of those steps took weeks to do for every single shot in that scene.
Assuming that it even worked in general.
Yeah.
And they were just going through the
Right.
motions. That's
They just-
fucking
Yeah,
awesome.
it's why easier when you're in outer space and everything else is black.
No, yeah, they said
right?
it was much. They said it was hard at the time, but this was like they had more time to do this one, but like it was way, way harder, and they had no idea what they were getting themselves into.
Wow.
Looks
and then it's
fucking
mid
great.
and then it's mid project. They're like, Jesus Christ, huh? And everyone's looking
Yeah.
at each other like, fuck did I get myself into? I told my
Like
wife
Luke,
I'd be
the
around
actor is on
this week.
Dagobah now. We're halfway through the shoot. I'm still working on the Hoth spaceship stuff, dude. This stuff is hard.
God. Wow.
Uh,
Wow. That's very cool.
Mark Hamill, so I want to say almost died, because that's what they said, but Mark Hamill had a brush with death, maybe, I would say, because he didn't almost die, but, well, so that scene
Are
where
we
he's in-
talking about the Bantha tank scene or
No.
Or no?
no, we're
So
talking
there-
about
there-
this. Oh, is there another one?
Well, there's one where he, when he's in that healing tank.
That's what. Yeah,
before
that
he
one.
gets into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that
So
that
we
thing they
call it a
have.
brush with death because he wasn't in the tank, right?
Right.
But yeah.
But like, if he was in the tank 2 minutes later or earlier, rather, he would have been killed. Like almost definitely.
Yeah. 'Cause
Right?
apparently the tank shattered, right?
Yeah.
So he was just Ugh.
So something above the tank shattered. So like,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
glass fell
I thought
into that
like these
tube.
big shards of glass fell down there or
fell.
something. Yeah.
I feel like that would be not great for a human.
Yeah. But he had to like wear scuba gear to do that too. He'd never done anything like that. He's like, that was cool.
Yeah. Carrie talked shit on George Lucas the entire time, which was great. There's a lot of reasons to listen to the commentary, but listening to her talk shit on George Lucas is one of them. She called all of his dialogue and made up words gobbledygook. She did not appreciate George. Another sound thing, the Imperial Walker sounds are a combination of an artillery explosion. This is all stuff that he records by himself. An artillery explosion, metal shearing machine, and a dumpster lid outside of his house squeaking.
Whoa.
Just combining those things and then speeding them up and slowing them down, depending on like how fast the walkers are
Motion
going.
in the car in the shot is.
Yeah.
Fuck. Which also at the time wasn't an easy thing. They'd have to put it on tape. They'd have to stretch it.
It was
they'd
all
have to-
tape stuff. It was 100%
It was
tape
not
stuff.
like that. Wasn't like I want to slow down on a thing now. I just like take it from one
0.75, click, done.
Yeah, I'm just gonna click it over to that thing and then just like let it interpolate. Excuse me, I'm gonna interpolate.
You have to probably, you make a copy so you don't ruin the original when you do the manipulation and then you have to fucking re-record it somewhere.
Naturally.
Yeah.
It's automatic. You can just set that as a thing. You don't even have to worry about fucking destructively editing, as they call it. These guys, they're stretching out fucking
Yeah.
tape. They got the hiss. They got this. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't work. That doesn't let. Fuck me.
Too many
Wonder
edits
why
now
they
that
make it.
the original sounds like
I
shit.
mean, honestly, if you want to be good at audio, it's too much work for me, and I'm a hard worker. I can't stand it. It's too much. It's too fucking
It's a
much.
lot.
Like that alone, that one little thing of just stretching the audio for them to do a certain sound effect is a shitload of fucking work. I'm not trying to do. I'm sorry. That's awesome, Denny. That's great stuff. Yeah, that's great stuff.
The shots of the walkers that moved in the stop motion way were 2 feet tall, and the backgrounds were just paintings. Yeah, paintings were 20 feet across. Highly detailed paintings.
Nice.
The walker sound, the 2-footed walker, was an old biplane motor kicking on. They had a lot of access to airfields and military bases to record the sounds. The sounds of the airships.
Snow speeders?
Yeah, the snow speeders. The sound of that was a... they did something similar to this in the New Hope, but I forget what it was. It wasn't a metal pipe, but it was a vacuum cleaner pipe at the LA freeway. So it wasn't a metal pipe. He metal piped it to the LA freeway in the first one. It might have been some other ship, I forget. But this was a plastic vacuum cleaner pipe for those ones. So he switched up the pipe.
Where like what freeway? Like where was he? Just angling it? What did it say? Like where was he standing? Did he get? Because like I live right next to the freeway, right? Most people do. I was just kind of curious as to like what
he
part
didn't
of the
say
freeway.
in this one. He might have said it in the New Hope one. I assume it was the same stretch of highway. It might be like his favorite spot to go and like think about sounds.
Yeah. It's close. It's close.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Where it's away from like the city, but it's also just nothing but highway. If carefree highway.
This is TC. You'll love this one. The Dagobah, the background sounds in Dagobah are so they put a bunch of birds in an echoey room and they slowed that sound down. Plus, they put a bunch of raccoons in a bathtub and recorded that.
Wait. Okay, first off, how'd they get the birds? How'd they get the raccoons?
They are Star Wars.
What?
They could get whatever the fuck they want.
It's Hollywood. You got animal handlers everywhere.
I'm just saying, like, and what? Like,
Yeah, so the birds were in the echoey room for the sound,
shit?
but the raccoons were in the bathtub so they couldn't get away.
So what? Like Tommy and Joey are sitting around. They're like, dude, I want to try, man. Like, what do you want to try, man? Like, I want to try to put birds.
Dude, can we get some raccoons? I can get you a raccoon by 2 o'clock.
And the
this
other
afternoon.
guy's like, I want to try raccoons in the bathtub. He's like, yo, but what's Timmy doing? Is he up? He probably has access to that.
Oh, how you doing, guys? What do you need? I can have that to your house in fucking 20 minutes. Which one? Raccoon? Fucking, oh, you want both? Okay, bird and raccoon. All right, I'll hit up Larry. We'll see what we got. We got a couple things for you.
I mean, unreal. Only in fucking Hollywood would they think like, let's do that and see what happens.
There's a
And
reason
then
why
they-
the industry doesn't
it's
like move to other places around the country. It's
Yeah,
like all the
because
fucking
every
weirdos
other-
live in LA.
Yeah, every other person goes, you can stay over there, bud.
Yeah,
We're just
yeah.
gonna go to the lake with the boat. Okay. Holy shit, man. All right, sorry. next.
So George Lucas thought, this is one of the disconnects. He thought that worm scene that came out of the hole and like bit at the ship.
Oh yeah,
You like that? I like that. That's a fucking cool shot.
I mean, it was kind of cool.
George hates
it. Came out of nowhere. Why? Because it looks like a zit that's
He
supposed
thought
to
it
be
What does
was-
he
popped.
want?
He thought it was funny, and nobody
Oh.
else thought it was funny.
That's not really
Oh.
funny. It
It's
looks
not
scary
funny.
to me.
It's scary.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what were those things? Are there more? Are we going to see them again? Those are good things for
That's
the
one
story.
of the weird things. Listening to his thought process is like when I was writing it down on the page, I thought it was funny, and I was just upset when I saw it on the screen
'Cause
that no
he's
one thought it was
nuts.
funny. I'm like, well,
Because
you can't get everything you want, dude. Just
Right.
go beyond it. Like you're getting more than most people get in life. Just fucking
go
deal
put
with
the
it, dude.
gurney on. It's fine. Just put the gurney on. I know. I'll tie you up in the back. It's fine. We're gonna have you see the doctor, and we're gonna have you see how you feel for a bit. No, it's not funny, man. The thing came out of a fucking hole.
yeah.
it's
It was gonna
scary,
kill,
dude.
It was gonna kill all the main
Okay.
characters.
Yeah. Like, could you not?
The
That's interesting.
the Minox scene. All of the Minox were on fishing rods, just fishing
Really?
rods with string,
And just
pieces
sing-
of plastic
and just throwing
bouncing,
them around.
bouncing around. That's it.
That's all it
That's
was. It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Worked for me.
The
Was scary.
worm was a hand puppet. Just the guy's
Okay.
hands.
Just
Just the guy's hands. The hand puppet.
That's probably why they thought it was funny,
ridiculous.
though.
What?
That's why they thought it was funny, right?
I don't know. The
Because they
effect
have,
looked
no,
real
they have
to
the
me.
context
I
of
don't
the
know.
fucking
Yeah.
Joker that's doing it with his hand puppet, right? Like, come on, like you're in that room and you don't think that's funny. I think that's hilarious. But we're
Maybe.
only thinking about it as the lens of like the viewer that sees.
They
just
made
the
it too
fucking
good.
thing.
It looked too
Yeah,
real.
like it looked scary as fuck to me. I was like, I don't want anything near that thing. I don't want to be anywhere near that fucking thing. You see the fucking teeth coming down as they fly out. Nope, no thanks.
the Millennium Falcon, when it was attached to the Star Destroyer, the model of the Falcon was 1.5 inches in diameter.
That's it.
It's
Oh.
tiny.
Holy shit.
Tiny. They only had a 50-foot room by 20-foot room to film all of the models in for this movie.
Wow.
And it wasn't like one model got that entire space. They had like a bunch of models in there, and they just were filming a bunch of models at the same time. So most of the models were pretty small,
Wow.
which is nuts.
Well, they had
That's
to make it small
crazy.
relative to the hugeness of the Star Destroyer too. So it was like there's only a certain amount of like
Oh, they
like,
capped their
the size
threshold
that
of
they
like
could
how
have
much
that.
they-
Well, to
I
have it
see.
be like usable.
I see.
Oh, that
That's
scene did
fucking
always
crazy.
like, come on, it's a Star Destroyer. They should know if something like attaches itself to their ship. You think they'd have a clue that something went boink? And it was
Don't
just
think
like,
about
hey.
that kind of stuff, John.
Yeah,
Don't think
I
about
know,
it.
I know.
You
You're
know,
like,
not everyone has an
hey.
iPhone, John. Don't be so. Just,
Yeah.
don't-
All right,
you know.
Anyway, yeah.
The Cloud City sounds are the San Francisco Bay foghorns.
Pre or post
Right.
fire? Oh wait, never mind.
Way pre.
Wait,
They had
pre,
fires
yeah,
back there
yeah.
too, but it did make the sky orange, at the very least.
Yeah, I'm
Not for
telling
days.
you. You can see the sun, perfect circle.
Carrie Fisher had a pretty good story about they were filming in England, and at the same time, Life of Brian was being filmed, and Eric Idle invited
Oh.
everybody, and by everybody I mean like most of the cast of this movie, Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford to this party
And the
at
cocaine
Eric,
guy.
yeah, at Eric
and
Idle's
the cocaine
house.
guy. Yeah.
They they showed up there and they had this drink. Somebody brought a drink called the Tunisian table cleaner, and they were all drinking it.
Sounds fucking fantastic.
And she couldn't tell you what it was. But the Rolling Stones showed
That
up
sounds great.
um,
Oh,
my
God.
that's
in
how
the
good
middle
it
of the
was.
night, and they had a party that
I
lasted
want to be at this party.
throughout the night. And the very next
David
day,
Bowie
they had
was
to,
there too. Prince, fucking everybody.
yeah,
You
it was
kidding me?
it was a rager,
Jesus
and
Christ.
they had to work the next day. So Harrison and Fisher had to shoot the scene. It's in the movie, and she's mentioning it because if you look at the scene where they just got to Cloud City, they just met Billy D. Williams' character, and they're walking like it's kind of a shot where you can see them walking across the platform into the building, and you see the Millennium Falcon in the background. It's the last shot outside. They're all smiling. They just look fucked up. They're just like happy as shit, and they're just smiling for no reason. Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher, because they're fucked up. They're totally
Because
fucked.
they're
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah, they
dude.
just partied with Eric Idle and the
They're
Rolling
tripping
Stones.
on mushrooms. They've hung out with the fucking Rolling Stones. They're yacked out of their mind. They're smoking blunts all the time, and yet it's the fucking what 80s, and you're not even supposed to be doing that shit.
Yeah.
These people live an unrealistic life.
No, the
that
early
nobody
80s, you could
should
still do
ever-
that shit, right?
No, but I'm saying like this, like just the idea of this, like you can't do this anymore. These things don't
No,
happen. This is
you
not
can't
a
do
thing.
this anymore.
It's crazy. I
It
wish
is
you know.
weird.
I can see why
They
people
partied
think
too
that
hard and they broke it for the rest of us. God damn it.
Yeah, well, what did Bill Burr say? He's like, hey, if you guys if you're 30 something, hold on a bit. You got a ways to go. Like, don't ruin it for the rest of your life like we did. Like don't ruin it by 40 where you can't do anything anymore or you're gonna die.
Yeah.
It's not even that's what they did. They partied in their early 20s from this fucking movie, and they ruined it for centuries. It's not even we're never gonna get to experience this, boys.
Yeah.
No matter how cool we are.
Goddamn
If we ever,
Stones.
it's unreal. The Stones are at the party. That party must have been sick.
Yep. And the fucking Monty Python cast. And the cast is Star Wars.
Holy
oh, man.
shit, man. Can you imagine the fucking
can't.
rooms?
I cannot
Holy
even come
fuck.
close to imagining how cool that would be.
They must have had so much fun because they're all funny. They're all creative. It's fuck, man. This is the appeal of Hollywood. I just wish that it was actually that way. It's not.
Yeah. So that
Unless you're important.
in that carbon chamber scene, all that smoke in the background was all steam. So that everyone describes that scene as being like a sauna.
Oh, wow.
Chewie passed out at one point in his suit because he was, too hot. And they had a stand-in for him, and they put him in the suit. It was the first time they had to use him, and the only time they used him because Peter Mayhew was so good at acting as Chewie that you could tell that it wasn't Chewie in the suit. So even though the guy looked the same, he had the same frame, and he was wearing the costume, we can't use this. We have to wait for Peter to get out of the hospital.
Really?
Yeah, because he embodies Chewie so much that it was obvious to everybody instantly.
All the mannerisms
Yeah.
were this isn't.
Yeah, it's we won't be able to use any of this stuff if we keep.
It had
going
nothing to
now.
do with Chewie. It's this person. This
Yeah.
person is the character.
is
not,
Chewie.
Oh, holy shit. That's
Which is cool for him because
fucking
he's behind
cool.
a mask, but
Right.
he is the character.
No, but he embodies he is
Yeah.
the thing.
No,
Yeah,
but
it's
and all
awesome.
of those
Awesome.
actors struggled with that a little bit, whether it was R2 or C3PO, Darth Vader. The actors that play the Darth Vader guy had an even rougher time. Well, Chewie doesn't get to use his own voice, obviously.
Yeah.
But the guy who played Darth Vader is just sort of difficult because
he doesn't even get to do the sword fights in the scene.
They were
hired a-
famous, and yet nobody knew what they looked like
Yep.
as people.
So in
It's-
this
it's
one, at least
tough
in the
spot.
first one, the guy who plays Darth Vader, he got to do the sword fight, but they wanted better
Yeah.
sword fights in this one, so they hired a world class Olympic medalist fencer to do all of the fight scenes as Vader.
Right, and then Hamill had to train like
Yep.
crazy to do. He trained in fencing and stuff like that. He'd be practicing an awful lot.
Dude, Hamill is the
be able to
man in
match it.
this movie. He was so
That's-
good in
I
the
mean,
first one, but
fuck.
he does
That's
so much
cool.
physical shit in this movie. It's incredible. The climbing up the freaking vines and the sword fighting and falling all the time and stuff. It's
Yeah, you
really
really
good.
do have to respect people that can act and do physical shit on screen, right? The Rock, for
Yeah.
instance.
And dude, just Hamill's scream when he learns that Darth Vader is his father is it's still so good. His acting when he's hanging off that thing is so good. It's one of the
Yeah.
highlights of the movie. The line he was fed for that. So this is another part where there's a conflicting trivia. Lucas says that he didn't tell anybody about. Obviously, except for James Earl Jones, that Vader was Luke's father until they all saw it in the theaters. But what Mark Hamill says is that they fed him the line, Obi-Wan killed your father. That's what Darth Vader says to him in this while they were doing that take, which is why he screams, no, that's not true. That's impossible.
Right.
But what Mark Hamill says is that somebody came up to him afterwards and told him the real ending. So
Oh.
I don't know if that's true or not. That's what Mark Hamill says. George Lucas says he didn't tell anybody. I don't know.
Well, so wait, I'm kind of lost.
So
What does that
so
mean?
The secret of Luke, he says no, I'm your father. The fact that
Yeah.
Darth Vader is Luke's
Nobody
father.
knew that prior to that moment.
So what George Lucas says was nobody on set except for, he doesn't say this, but I have to assume since James Earl Jones says the line,
Yeah.
except for James Earl Jones knew that that was going to be the twist, because there's a story about the guy, sorry, I forget his name, the guy who embodies Darth Vader, that bodybuilder guy, was in the theater and he turned around during the screening and was like, why didn't you tell me? He was surprised. But what Mark Hamill says, Luke says, is that right when they were filming that shot, they fed him a line that was a fake line for the crew, but then someone came up to him afterwards and told him the truth, that they were going to switch the line for, no, I am your father.
Oh.
So I don't know. Depends on who you want to believe there.
Yeah.
Kind of two different stories.
I mean, I feel like bodybuilder guy's just dumb. He forgot.
well, he
probably
wasn't in the
was
loop.
told.
Either way, I'm not that's true.
Right. Isn't,
But,
isn't that the guy from the In and Out? movie?
Yeah, he was the protector in the
Bodybuilder,
second
right?
half. Yeah, the bodybuilder.
So like
guy.
he was just sitting there and he's like, they're like, do you even know what movie you're in? He's like, no, I'm in Star Wars. Right? They're like, no, you're in Clockwork Orange. He's like, what are you talking
He's
about?
like, what do I do? You don't talk.
Yeah,
you walk
yeah,
from
yeah,
here to
yeah.
here.
So you're
Like,
picking
damn
up
it, I'm better than
you're
this,
picking
guys.
up a rape. You're picking up a rapist, and he's like, "What am I doing? Never mind. Don't worry about it. Just open the door, huh?" So that's what happened here too.
Am I doing
He's
good?
like,
You're doing
"Why
great,
didn't you
dude."
tell me?" And they're all like, "Dude, we told him like 8 times." I know, right? That's weird. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, man. I'm sorry. We didn't tell you. Yeah. They told him. Come on. You gonna read the script or not? I mean, there's no way.
It's not worth it. Just
In my
follow
mind.
the direction.
There's no way that they kept it from everybody. There's no way. They're not that forward thinking. They don't understand at that point that it's that much of a big deal. I'm sorry, they don't. They're full of shit. That shit was in the script. Everybody knew that guy's a
Oh,
dummy.
it definitely wasn't in the script, at the very least.
I think it was.
You can think whatever you want, but it
Yeah.
wasn't.
Okay.
So
That's
going
fine.
back to that
That's fine.
carbon
I'll take
scene-
it. I'll take that too. I'll take that.
So when they brought Chewie back, he was sweating a lot, and the suit was starting to stink really, really bad.
Oh,
The suit
really?
stunk from
How
that
many days
scene.
did he worn it?
That shoot was like a week in that carbon scene
Oh,
for when
boy.
Chewie was in it.
Oh
They had
boy,
like a much
that's
longer. I
stank.
think the sword fighting scene in that same chamber was like 3 weeks long.
What do you think that funk was? That was
It was
some
bad.
Funk.
Like
Oh, that
everybody
was-
talked about it. It was bad.
Oh,
It wasn't just
Like
one person
the
mentioning it. They were just
death
like,
rag, guy,
"Whoa,
Yeah,
Chewie's
whoa,
suit
like
smells
holy
terrible."
shit, bro. It's like that rubber, gross stench. Ugh.
If you look at Mark Hamill's hair, he's wet the entire time he's fighting.
It's
Darth
not
Vader.
wet. It's grease.
No,
You
it's
know,
wet.
He's just
he's
that dirty.
sweating profusely that entire time.
Oh, I see.
And they
I
had
see,
to
I
take
see.
frequent breaks because the fencer in Darth Vader's helmet couldn't breathe.
No,
Oh my
oh my
God.
Because I mean,
God, dude.
like he could kind of breathe, but like
Holy
it's already
shit.
a sauna, and you're wearing a full bodysuit with a helmet that covers
in
your face.
and with lights and all the
Yeah,
other thing. And
he was
holy
dying.
fuck. Yeah, he's overheating. Jeez.
So another thing that's conflicted is the I know when Leia says I love you and
Yeah.
Harrison Ford says I know. According to George Lucas, Kershner, and Harrison Ford, he came up with it on the spot. They were shooting into lunch one day and they were recording all these lines because they didn't love the written line I love you too. They thought that was stupid. I agree with that.
yeah.
So he was just like trying to come up with
yeah,
lines.
that
on
was
the
a
spot.
dumb line.
And they were recording, like they came up with ideas and they were recording into lunch. And it was England, and he was saying people were getting antsy because in England during lunch break everyone gets drunk because you go get a beer.
You know,
at
that's
lunch.
what you do. Yeah, right.
So everyone was like jonesing for a beer, so people were getting annoyed. And so the last take, Kershner went like, "All right, do something. Like don't even think about it. Go." And then they did it, and Harrison Ford said, "I know." And he's like, "All right, cut. We're good. Everyone can go get lunch." And some guy like walked up to him. No one thought it was good. The entire nobody left to go get lunch. And they're like, "Dude, you can't be serious. Like once we're done here, we're moving on. We can never come back to the scene. We have to get something good." And he's like, "No, we got it." People didn't believe it was good.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
one of the best lines. I love it. It's
So you're saying
Yeah.
people's alcoholism even questioned how bad that take
That's
was?
how bad that line is that the
I
need for a
see.
beer wasn't as bad as making sure
Wow,
you got
people
something
are like,
good.
"Yo, I need a beer just like the rest of you. I know you're shaking too, but like that was terrible." And everyone's like, "No,"
Yeah,
but he was like, "No, we're good, bro.
we're good.
I don't do second takes."
So the one thing that Ben Burt says is that sometimes the sound you're trying to record isn't best by recording that sound. So like when Darth Vader smashes the window open and there's a bunch of wind like blowing out and all that stuff is a pen over rough canvas dragged.
Yeah, well,
And he's like,
we
I
were
do that
doing
all the time for
Foley-
wind. It sounds like
yeah,
wind.
we were doing Foley in the stage. We were trying to get fabric, and we used metal to get that noise.
Yeah, it's
You
fucking
know what
weird.
I mean? Like you don't. It's ridiculous how like our brains can just wire together sounds to things and be like, that works. That's good enough. That's awesome. That's why sound sucks though, because everyone's like, I don't care what you do. Who's sound? No one cares. Go, oh, did you use metal? Great. Looks great. Looks great, folks. Everything looks awesome.
aw.
Yeah.
For all the
yeah,
audience
looks
members,
great,
John
yeah.
is still here and he
Oh,
is
yeah,
smiling.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
smiling. He's having
I
a good
am
old
Yeah,
time.
smiling.
y'all
Hey.
did metal. Huh? That's cool.
It's so past my bedtime.
It is. I get a
Hey.
good bit left. I'll try to go faster, John, for you.
It's okay. Don't stress.
I thought this was funny. George talked to psychologists about Vader's father, Vader being Luke's father, and cutting Luke's hand off as being potentially scarring to children. And the psychologists all came back saying, they'll be fine.
Okay. That's
That's what happens when you get paid.
That's fair.
Holy shit.
I thought it was
So
funny
when
that he
he
checked, and
cuts
then
off-
also
I
all
know.
psychologists
That's
are like, whatever,
Well,
dude.
But I understand
No,
because
but that's-
again,
that's true.
It's important
true.
to George. He sees these as fairy tales. He sees that Star Wars is fulfilling the sort of like gap that fairy tales used to take place in these kind of morality tales, and he really wants these to be for kids to some extent. So I could see him being pretty concerned. He's like, man, is this too violent? Am I making a horror
No,
film
they got
here?
a bunch of you in there, and you're like, no, dude, people die. It sucks. It's got to happen, right?
And
Because
I
even-
definitely was freaked out when it happened as a little kid watching this. I was not
but even
happy.
you know, as a psychologist, that the right answer is that's fine.
No,
This
you
is
can.
not.
As a kid, you don't need to baby. Like you don't need to.
You
know,
can't
You,
baby
should
it. No,
show
they're
your
never
kids some
gonna-
scary
yeah,
shit, right?
right. No. I mean, look, if you look at what those fairy tales were in their original form,
Yeah.
they're terrifying.
Yeah,
Right,
scary
So,
and
you
nice.
know, I
so
mean,
like
so-
the hand business is tiny in comparison
Yeah,
to the
like
rest
the
of it.
original
Yeah.
versions of Cinderella and the Grimm's fairy tales and so forth. I mean, they were nasty. So that's part of the fairy tale in a way. It's like,
Right.
I mean,
Is
yeah,
it's
it's a good
accepting the
point.
fact that negative things happen, regardless if it's your hand or not. Yeah, it's
yeah, but
something
I still
kids need
was,
to
I
learn.
was
Shit.
very upset about that. I remember he lost his hand. I felt it was a nice compensation. Oh, now he's got robot hand. That's cool.
That's cool.
So-
it was
Right.
kind of
So-
cool though.
so he
guys.
That was
has
a
a
cool
robot
effect.
hand. Yeah, it was a cool effect. But it made
He's
me feel
back.
a lot better. Like, okay, so he's not like maimed. For
No,
life,
it did,
or, you know.
and John, it did for me too. I watched. I'm like, oh, okay, they solved it with like sci-fi shit. Got it. Cool. That's cool.
Right.
That's
he's
good shit.
okay.
That's good shit. Right. Like I don't feel as bad now because like he's got his hand back and now he gets just acts like a normal person again with both
Yeah,
hands,
yeah,
and that's all that matters. Yeah. Anyways.
So this director Kershner went over and placeholder takes, I guess you might call them, for both
Okay.
Vader and Yoda, because he knew how the lines were being spoken while they were doing the takes, and he gave them to both Frank Oz and James Earl Jones. He gave them a cut of the movie with the lines already recorded, and Kershner apparently can do a pretty good Yoda voice, so he just dubbed the lines, and then they both said, Oz and James were just like, I had a pretty easy job because all I'm doing is saying it in my voice the way he's saying it when he's saying it. So they're just mimicking the director because he already had it synced up to their movements in the cut. So they didn't have to like read the line and then look at Yoda going like this, or like especially Darth Vader because his
okay.
mouth doesn't move, but he has like hand movements and stuff.
Right.
That he already like timed it out exactly how he wanted it to be.
So you could just
and they just
follow
had to
that
sync
rhythm.
it up. Yeah, as
You
long
could
as you did it
follow that
exactly
rhythm.
like the director did it in your
Ah.
voice, which is better than his voice, then that was it. So like
You're set.
he made
You're
it
done.
very easy.
And
for
we
them.
know that the edit works because they've already timed it.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
It's a very micromanaging idea that most people would hate, but for him,
I don't know.
it's-
It's pretty helpful. And even Frank Oz was
It's
like, it was
not.
very helpful. All I did was like
it
kind
depends
of
when egos
impersonated
are
him.
involved or not. If egos aren't involved, yeah, sure, it's great. It's
Yeah.
helpful. I would love that type of thing. But
Yeah.
someone who's like, no, I am me for me. You don't
I
tell
need to,
me
I
when
need
to
to
do
explore
when.
my character here for a
Yeah.
little bit. Excuse me
Ah,
as I do a
fuck it,
tangent.
It's fucking method acting for a reason. I gotta go get hammered. I gotta fuck a prostitute, and I gotta come back, and that's part of the deal.
If I'm not
dude.
all
It's-
coked up and I ruin half the takes, then it's not
in the
acting.
contract, bro. You know, I mean, like that's you're up against those people. But yeah, that's fucking awesome. So it makes sense to me. Like that is something something that Joe and Ryan would do. Is just like plan out exactly to the second what's gonna happen, and then be like, this is all you got to do. Like we've whittled down all the problems that you could possibly have here, and you're just left with all this little stuff that we just need you to do. That's it. It's like I mean, I think that's brilliant. I'm on board. I'm on board. Anyway.
So George Lucas took a $250,000 fine hit and was kicked out of both the Writer Guild, the Director Guild, and the Motion Picture Association of America to keep the titles the way they were in this movie.
Shows how important they are.
There are
Fuck
rules
you.
about showing people's names and shit at the beginning of a movie in
Are there?
Hollywood. And the reason they didn't care in the first one is because no one expected it to go anywhere. So they're like, dude, yeah, do
Right,
whatever
but
you
that
want.
just
it's fine.
goes to show you
Right.
why it's irrelevant what they think. Because like you
No,
can't
but there
just
are
pick and
rules.
choose.
Like there are actual rules,
No, I know,
and
but-
he
but
took
this is-
penalties
but
because he wanted to do it the way
Trust
he wanted
me,
to do it.
I get it. But there's a reason why people disobey these rules with them all the time is because they get to pick and choose. It seems like, right? Like no one did anything in the first part. We should have kept the either toe the line or you don't toe the line. It's not one or the other. It's not hey Monday I felt good because that guy pays me money. and
It's
tomorrow
like
I
the
don't.
law system in this country. It's if there's money involved, they're gonna fucking
No,
let people.
I know, but there's a reason why people break the rules. Is
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It's because of this exact situation, right? This is not the first.
I just think I like that
unreal.
because he just took the penalties because he had
Yeah,
the
fuck 'em.
vision and he wanted
Yeah.
to stick with it. And he's just like, fuck you guys, penalize me however you want. I'm bankrolling this myself. Fuck you.
Yeah. The accountability is
later.
money. So sure, whatever you got to do. It's like fucking paying. It's like when you run out of money at the toll booth. Like, just go through, right? You
So
still do.
I have to. What am I
All
going
right.
to do?
Still
Drive
gonna
into the
go
river?
through.
Or you
Thanks,
want me to drive
guys.
into the river?
Yeah,
All right, fuck,
see you
I'll do
later.
that.
I think it's great. I think it's the right attitude. Some of these guild stuff is something else.
Yeah. The lighting in the models, the lighting on the models was so intense that it melted some of the models. That's how hard lit those models
So
were.
all the models were plastic based.
They were plastic, yeah.
Yeah, wow. So that's a lot of fucking forethought. I'm sorry. Plastic? Cardboard, I can see, right? Like you can cut little pieces out. You can manipulate it you want, but plastic? You got to make a mold. You got to do stuff. You got to say this is what it's going to look
I
like.
know at least, I don't know if they had
gotta
this
work.
back for this. This was around Blade Runner, but they have this acid that if you cut out certain squares, you can drop the acid in the squares and it eats away
And it,
the plastic. So it makes it easier to mold plastic in that way. At least that's the way they did it. In
so
Blade
it
Runner.
actually like softens it because of
it
the acid.
removes it. Like an alien, you know, like when you cut the alien, it like bleeds
Right.
and it melts the
Right,
shit. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
They built
gotcha.
64 whole sets. They were very large sets, all of them. That's fucking impressive. Like the Dagobah set was all there. The
Damn,
final battle
damn.
scene with Darth Vader on that
Damn.
little platform, that was built. The airplane hangar scene, that was built.
Shit.
Those are 3 sets. They built 64 of those sets. Crazy.
Holy fuck.
And they took them 180
That's
days to
so-
shoot, as I said before. I don't
That is
recall.
so awesome.
I don't recall
So
ever
awesome.
mentioning a number that high for a shoot.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Billy D. Williams' kids, after this movie came out, were all of his kids and his kids' friends were yelling at him because they were blaming him
Because he
for
betrayed
turning
Luke.
in Han. They're like, how
That's
dare you,
awesome.
Dad?
That's
How dare
funny.
you
That's
turn in
funny.
Han?
Who do you think you are, you
Yeah.
son of a bitch? Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
All right, TC, I got like 15 to
That's
20 things
funny.
here that are just for you. These are sound things that Ben Burt came up with
Ooh,
here.
baby. I'll just put myself on mute so you can get through them.
When I want to hear your reaction. Record yourself. When Luke is hanging upside down the Cloud City, they're whacking television antennas together.
Okay.
The
Sounds right.
wind, when he's fighting Darth Vader out in the center of the Cloud City, is an old wind making machine. That's not very.
Okay.
but
So
it's like
aluminum.
they found
metal. Yep. Metal.
the Han in the carbon hitting the ground when they push him over and he kind of smacks into the ground. That's a dumpster lid slamming down.
No,
Yep.
really?
Just outside Ben's house.
Oh, I
Just a
wondered
local
what
thing.
that was because it was
That dumpster's got a lot of action.
Yeah, it must have been empty because there was a lot of reverb on that sound.
It's just like, yeah, exactly. It emanated further after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It resonated.
The sound of the carbon was a metal pipe on dry ice. So it's 2 things: metal pipe on dry ice, and if you stick a metal pipe straight onto dry ice, it'll reverberate it. So no matter what you put on it, it always makes it. What he says is, whatever you touch to dry ice will make a song. Like it's a tuneful little thing because it like
There's
mixes
some
with
chemical
metal
reaction
in a weird
that
way.
actually
It'll
resonates the
shake it.
metal.
Yeah, and like the
Wow.
different material of metal you use will make a different tune. So what he did is he put just like
Right.
a pipe and he recorded
Okay.
down the pipe, and that was a
sounds
part of it.
Smart.
That was half of it, and the other half was carbon arcing. So like 2 pieces of metal with electricity going between them.
But see, you learn this shit because like you go study shit. Like, I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
no one comes up with this on their own anymore. This has all been written down as like, well, if you take metal and you put it to dry ice, it makes this. They're like, really?
Maybe.
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
Really? Dude, like stuff, trust me, when we were doing learning Foley in school, like we were learning shit that doesn't make sense to make other things sound like something. It's stuff
Yeah.
just gets written down and passed down. It's awesome stuff. But
It
like
is awesome.
it's just I don't want any of that knowledge. It's such useless knowledge. Like in this
Unless you're a
specific,
professional getting paid,
right?
like
in
this guy's
in this
getting paid.
specific situation where you're doing this job, this thing is cool. Otherwise, you're fucked. Like, yeah, you're not shoveling shit because you're making noise. You know what I'm saying? Like
The
Anyways,
Millennium
go on.
Falcon in the cave when it's lurching is a close mic when trains in a train yard are coming to like in contact with each other to hook up to each other.
Oh,
That's that sound.
That's good. Think about the fucking like the low end to the high end. There's all of it.
Yeah,
There's
it's like
it's the
and then also the
because the
grinds.
material
Yeah.
is so heavy that when it connects, it creates the low end,
Yeah.
and then all that high end grommet shit. All these fucking nerds.
The Vader
yeah.
cube is an observatory generator.
Yeah.
When it opens.
What's the ball? Is it just a
Oh.
Pornhub.com apparatus?
They remove the audio that he got for what goes on inside that cube.
Yeah, just cranking away. Yeah, we just got the cranking noise. It's great.
The fall in the snow is his dad. I already talked about that one.
Okay, that was a good one.
The doors shutting in that Darth Vader ship. They recorded doors in Alcatraz. They actually got an entire row
Oh,
of prison
wow.
doors to close at the same time for when like the doors close.
Oh
in
wow.
Darth
So
Vader's
imagine
ship.
if that area, because his ranch is up there, right? Like they only went to Alcatraz because it's the closest thing, right?
Probably, yeah. Not
So
not
like
a far
you
drive
would,
at
if
all.
like they land, it would be amazing. Like you could take that same idea, and I'm sure someone has, is go to some other prison and see how those doors close, and that's a whole
Yeah.
other fucking.
That's
holy
another
shit.
spaceship door right there.
Yep, right
it'll
there,
sound different
right there.
enough.
Put it into some library, make it MIDI adjustable, and you're on your way. Anyways, what?
The sound of Darth Vader's helmet going onto his gross head was they had a vacuum cleaner and it was
His
sucking up
gross
dust
head?
on his gross. And so they had put a bunch of dust on the ground, recorded a vacuum cleaner, and then had someone with their hand go, just a hand on the top of the vacuum cleaner.
By the way, this is
Suction.
for your gross head.
All right, Darth, put this on your gross head.
Hey, guess what? This is for your gross head part.
The Minox, which are the bats in that worm thing, are horse noises backwards.
Oh God, some of these guys just get stoned. It's all they do, right? Like we play it backwards, man.
The snow swirling was recorded sounds of surf, like waves breaking, slowed down and sped up.
I can see that. That's cool.
And some other, so I already said some snowspeeder sounds, but some other snowspeeder sounds were jet sounds run through what they called a primitive digital harmonizer. So they had an old effects
The hardware effects
pedal
box
or
or
whatever
something, right?
box,
Yeah.
sure. That,
But it would have
plus-
been tape. It would have been tape oriented though, so it wouldn't have been in a box. It would have been like, holy
well,
shit.
they would have had to
they're
record it to digital. I don't know. Oh,
No,
I
they
don't know
would
how
have
that works.
recorded it just tape and then
Just tape.
harmonized it with pitch. Fuck me.
But then they added that to Cougar sounds.
Fuck you.
Cougar
That's
sounds.
more like it. That's awesome. I mean, the creativity for sound is what inspired me to actually like it, but those things are not a thing anymore. It's hard to fucking come. Like these libraries exist of all these amazing ideas. Like, you know, you still hear the same way I do, right? The car door still sounds like a car door. Like you're like, how many things can you innovate past that? Fuck me.
Slow it down, flip it around.
Yeah, they've shape shifted all the way that we think, and then like you can't. Like, what are you gonna do instead? Everything sounds strange. Sound is such an unreal world.
Hey, John, I
Such
got
cool
a number
stuff.
for you. I got 4 left.
Okay.
Those are all the sound
Okay.
trivias I got. I got 4. Yoda is a combination of a troll, a leprechaun, Einstein, and Frank Oz himself. And Frank Oz swears that most of it is himself.
It's
like
him,
the
him,
facial
it's him.
portion of it is
Yeah,
Frank
yeah.
Oz.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
That's funny. That's funny.
All the scenes with Yoda in him were built on sets that were 5 to 6 feet above the ground because you had people below all of those
Right.
sets puppeting. Like even the scenes with water in it and shit.
Wow.
Like if he's
No
moving,
shit.
you have people standing up below him with puppets
Doing the work.
And Mark
Oh,
Hamill, like they
shit.
couldn't. It was so separate that Mark Hamill couldn't hear the people below it. So when they practiced these scenes, they both had earpieces in so they could hear each other. But they didn't want the earpieces in the sets, so they did the rehearsals a lot. And when Mark Hamill, so they'd go through the motions. They would both say their lines. Mark Hamill couldn't hear what Yoda was saying, but they practiced it so much that he could see Yoda's movements and, you know, hear in
Know
his
where he
mind
was.
where he was, and he could say his lines. And
So
then
he
they
was
added
using the force. Motherfucker.
Yes, that is the force.
This shit translated into real life on set. That's fucked
He's-
up, man. I was
He's a
gonna
goddamn Jedi
take
master.
another hit, man. This is fucking crazy, bro.
So this, I kept this for last because it was given to me last, but also this is just insane. That shot of the galaxy at the end of this movie, it's a pile of talcum powder on a black mat.
Oh,
That's all it
that
is.
seems right.
It's
That seems
talcum
right.
powder. It's fucking
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? It doesn't look
That's
like talcum
crazy.
powder. It's like
No.
a goddamn galaxy.
It does look like Galaxy.
Yeah. That's just, I don't know. There's just like small effect shots throughout this movie.
They're like, hey, Gold Bonds, appreciate you. No big
And
deal.
I didn't by far go through everything they talked about in the commentaries. These were just the ones that were the absolute most interesting. If you're interested in more stuff like this, like definitely buy the book, John. But listen to both commentary tracks. The special features are fucking great.
Or just enjoy the movie and just,
Or just
you know,
enjoy
go
the
about
movie.
your way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if that's your
Because
thing,
either way you
that's
win.
Also great.
It's good.
Either way you win. I mean, honestly, it's
So TC, we're at this point now. Would you put this movie in the top 250?
absolutely not
Yes.
unacceptable.
Oh, no.
Absolutely terrible. It's like, I mean, how can you put this up against something like The Room, anyways? So, yes, absolutely. Top 250 all day of the week, every day of the week.
John?
You know,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, easy yes.
100%.
Also,
Easy yes.
agreed.
100%. I jest. Surely I jest. Yep.
And I could ask you
Yep.
the stupid question of which one would you put higher, but I'm not going to do that because I think we exhausted.
It doesn't.
that.
You don't even
matter.
need it.
They
You
should
don't
be
even
next to
need
each other.
You don't even need to.
Yeah.
Yep.
New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. They deserve to be next to each other.
Right. It's like
Wherever they
you put fucking naproxen sodium against Aleve. Same fucking thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one's supposed
I
to
don't,
be
but
better.
I trust
one's-
you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, acetaminophen or Tylenol, right? Tylenol seems better. No, it's the same fucking thing, right? Ibuprofen.
more well known.
Advil,
Yeah.
I'm a big generic guy. This is one of those typical situation where these two things cannot be correlated or fucking put up against each other. I will fight somebody to the death if they challenge that. I can't wait to get into those modes with some of the Star Wars people and just be like, I'm ready to go. Just to prove how much I love this franchise.
This
now.
franchise. Okay, TC,
Yes.
we'll test your love
Yeah.
of all 3 movies in this franchise next week.
On the next one.
Where actually
Yeah.
this kind of works smoothly back to the list because this movie is the lowest rated. This brings us back to where we started this list. We're at number 73 next week for Star Wars Episode
Oh, it feels good,
6.
doesn't it? It just feels
Return
right.
of the
Low
Jedi.
numbers.
That was
Oh,
really smooth,
shit.
the way that worked out. I think that was
Yeah,
John's
yeah, yeah.
recommendation there.
17 to
nice.
78. Okay.
Yeah.
73, whatever.
But the Return of the Jedi synopsis is after a daring mission to rescue Han Solo from... I shouldn't read this. We should just watch the movie because I
No,
might spoil it
don't
for TC.
give me the fucking
That's true.
answers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
I already knew who the father was. I don't want to know who the mother is, too.
Yeah. As
Jesus.
soon as I read it, I was like, that's too much. TC needs to go on blind.
How you doing? Bah, 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 bah. Go
Perfect.
fuck yourself, son of a fucking bitch. Bah, 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 bah. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. It's Return of the Jedi.
Fuck you,
That's
I say.
Thanks for listening.
All right,
All
people.
right. See
All
you
right.
guys.
Talk to you next time.
Good night.